Hello everyone. Hello. Echo. She's got an echo. How you doing today, Rach?
I'm good. I've got a bit of a sore throat today, guys. So the
Get
sore
away.
throat is always the start of
It's the beginning of the
something
end.
to come, isn't it? I
It's
mean,
the beginning of the end.
when people say though at this point that it's mind over, what's the phrase? Mind over matter or whatever, where it's like, oh, if you just stay in the mindset of like, I'm not ill.
Oh, I don't know if that's
you
how
won't
it
get
works.
ill, but I'm not sure about that, to be honest.
No, neither am I. I don't think. Surely, if you're ill, you're ill.
Yeah. But like
you can make the best of it. But if you've got a sickness bug, then
yeah, it's true.
I personally quite. No, I'm not going to say that.
Have you heard about the viral rashes going around?
No.
Oh,
Viral rashes?
Yeah, like just a rash.
But
This might
from
be
a
TMI,
virus.
but I
Have you got it?
I don't know, but I did have a rash on my leg. But like here,
But what's it got to do with?
it's just like a virus, and it's just the way that it shows up. So like you might not have any other symptoms other than a rash.
So you basically got that problem.
Well, yeah, I guess. The only other thing was though, I was playing this game where you hit your thighs. So me. If anyone's played,
you got a
Zimmy,
rash from playing Zimmy.
But but as in, you know, when I had a rash on my face at New Year,
Yeah.
it wasn't like that. It was like
Raised.
purple.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So anyway, guys.
Well, if
oh
I
my
get
gosh, we're at that level where we can talk about rashes.
If I get any rashes, then I'll know where it's come from.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone else has heard of the viral rash.
Hashtag viral rash.
Hashtag viral rash.
Gone viral, baby.
round. Gosh, you know, sometimes they're like, just the word rash sounds embarrassing. Like to say like I've got a rash. Because I think people always associate it with, whereas like it's fine.
It always feels like it's in like a weird intimate area.
Yeah, just to clarify, mine was on my leg, guys. Nowhere weird.
Also, I feel so stupid saying this, but I've literally only just clocked like where the word viral comes from. Like it's like a virus spreading round.
Yeah. A virus.
No, like if you said, "Oh, we've gone viral on social media,"
Oh.
is that what it comes from?
Yeah. It must do.
Like you've got a viral infection. Do you know what I mean? It's the same word.
Yeah.
So it means it's spreading. I've literally only just clocked that. I feel so stupid saying that, but hey.
No, I don't think many would link the two. There we go.
But surely they are linked, aren't they? I've not just made that up.
Like my viral rash, you could have a viral bit of content.
Yeah. Spreading everywhere. Not just on the legs.
Cool. Well.
Armpit
Okay,
rash.
on that note, let's dive in, guys.
What do you mean on that note? Let's dive
No,
in.
as in, like, let's wrap that conversation up as we're talking about rashes in armpits. Don't know how we got
Why
there.
are you shaming someone for having a rash in their
I'm not
armpit?
shaming. I've just admitted that I've got a rash on my leg.
I just felt like you were really shutting that down. And it
Okay.
could be something that someone's really struggling with.
Okay, guys, if you've got a rash.
It's not just you that has a rash coming out next week.
That's the topic of today's episode.
That's how we chose to
It's
segue
not
in
just you
today.
has a rash.
That'll probably be about a 5-minute episode.
To be honest,
It's
have you
like,
ever had a rash?
Got a rash.
Have you had a rash?
I don't often get
Oh,
rashes.
okay, so
but
it's going to proclaim that she's not had a
no,
rash.
No. But like, I think because I actually have like eczema, that
I got it.
I feel like I just see the like I
Yeah,
don't know.
okay,
Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? As in like,
Oh, I think a rash is just quite freaky. Like when it comes up on your skin, it's like, what's caused it? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I feel like you're just
because you don't often
infected.
Yeah,
like,
you don't often think about like the ins and outs of what your body's doing and like. And there's something in there that's causing a rash. Anyway, right, that is quite.
So
enough.
next week we've got it's not just you that has a rash, and then the following week we'll have it's not just you that has eczema.
Yeah.
Skin related topics.
Okay, brilliant.
The content that everyone wants, really.
Okay, what are
Viral.
we doing today's episode on soap?
This one's gonna go viral, like Rachel's rash.
Let's get it trending.
It's not just you who feels like they're competing for a friend.
Ooh.
Dun.
Competing for a friend. Just the word competing, we're already feeling a bit like
We're in competition.
ooh.
It's a fight
For
to
me,
the death.
competing in that kind of context evokes the same emotions as jealousy.
Yeah.
It's quite
Well,
a
it basically
key
is, yeah.
thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like as in like I mean like it's quite icky to admit that you might be competing.
Yeah.
It's just quite a like
bit grim.
A bit of a kind of gross emotion of like, oh yeah, I'm competing over this person.
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
Yeah. Not nice, but today we're going to address it. We're going to name it.
We're going to address it because, like it or not, you've probably been there.
We have.
Ooh,
So,
we have. So we're just going to set the scene with a kind of situation, a sketch that just sums up some of what we're talking about.
Yes.
And that is from the film Bridesmaids.
What a film.
If you haven't seen Bridesmaids, maybe just at the end of this episode, get to the end first.
Yeah,
go
obviously.
and give it a watch because, it's just
well,
so
firstly,
iconic.
it's just so funny. It's such a good, I mean, I'm sure most people have watched it.
Yeah.
Great film, but we were chatting about this one scene in the film where it just epitomizes competing for a friend, and particularly, I guess, a best friend, someone that you view as your best friend, but then maybe someone else is viewing that person as their best friend as well, and just that's actually just quite weird.
It is,
because you'd never have, like, I guess that's a particular role that someone takes in your life. You'd never have, oh, that's my boyfriend. Oh, but that's my boyfriend. Like, do you know what I mean? Or oh, that's my like mum. As in, obviously, you might have siblings,
you can only have like one boyfriend. Well,
I don't know. It's 2024. Some people might
to be fair, it's true.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that was an irrelevant point to make.
No,
but essentially, I'm trying to say it's quite weird because they take a role in your life, but then they're also kind of taking the same role in someone else's life, which feels weird.
And in this film, it's accentuated because obviously it's in the context of a wedding. There's a girl, she has to choose her maid of honor.
Yeah.
So she chooses two, and then it's like this competition between the two. Are they both maid of honors? I think they are.
I can't quite remember, but
it's that vibe of like at a wedding, you know.
Well, it's more the build up to the wedding, isn't it? So she's got the person who's getting married has got these two best mates, and one of them is like a newer friend. She's quite wealthy. She's got all this money, so she's throwing her these flash parties, taking her on this massive hen do. And then the other friend, who's like the main character in the film, is just a bit taken aback. I don't think she even really knew that this friend existed.
Yeah, and basically
she doesn't feel like she's measuring up with all the things that this other friend's doing.
She gets really insecure.
Yeah.
And then the way that outplays is just hilarious. So there's this one scene where they're making speeches for their friend at kind of her engagement party, whatever. And they're getting up on the stage one after the other, like adding to their speech because the other one will have just said something that makes the other one feel like they need to say more.
Yeah, they're just going back and forth.
And it is
them.
So funny, guys. But like it sums up this concept of like competing, doesn't it?
It's like one of them will go up and it's like, oh, like, you know, you're my best friend. I love you so much and blah, blah, blah. The other one will come up. I'd say actually more like a sister to me. I don't think best friend quite cuts it. I think just how long we've known each other, you know, that speaks for itself. Then the other one will come up. I mean, we've only known each other 6 months, but it feels like an eternity. I don't think I've ever known someone as much as I've ever known you. And it's, gosh, to think that's only 6 months. What could happen in 6 years?
And then the other one comes up like, well, there are memories from when we were 2 that just could not possibly compare to anything else. Like, and it's just back and forth and it's jokes. But I think even if we haven't all been, you know, in that scenario of being a maid of honor or whatever it is, there are just so many relatable feelings when you watch that of like where you have really cared about a friend and someone else has really cared about that friend, and you've kind of ended up in this scenario of like, even if it's not like overtly making speeches or competing, like just feeling a little bit threatened, I guess, and feeling like you need to prove yourself as a friend.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what we want to talk about today.
It's so funny though, isn't it? Because it's just so, I mean, like you say, it can be these quite obvious moments of something like a wedding where it's these
or
big,
a birthday, you were saying.
Yeah, we were saying birthdays are actually a time when I think these kind of similar situations can happen where, or we were just giving these examples of, you know, you see one friend and they post 3 Instagram stories on someone's birthday with like a nice message at the end. You're like, okay, I'm going to go for 5 stories. They've done 3.
No, they've done a story. I'm going to do a main feed post.
I'm doing a main feed post with the biggest paragraph that you've ever seen at the bottom. going through all the ins and outs and all the nice cliche comments.
Where do I even begin?
Gosh.
Full stop.
Words
This
wouldn't
girl.
even be able to put.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm not even going to try. I'm not even going to try and put into words how I feel about you.
Yeah, and we were saying it's so sad in some ways, because rather than looking at all these other posts that friends are doing and thinking, gosh, they've hit the nail on the head. That thing that they've written perfectly describes my friend, and I love that other people can see that in them. And isn't it amazing that they've got these people around them that want to celebrate them and pour out words of encouragement? You're just thinking, oh gosh, like, how can I top that? How can I top it? How can I just pull out all the stops to show that I am the ultimate friend and I am the best friend? And
it's just so interesting how like the immediate emotion it can kind of like cause in you is just like panic or just insecurity, or just feeling like, that emotion of feeling kind of threatened, or like, oh my gosh, now I need to do something better. When instead it could genuinely just be like, that's so lovely that friend's posted that for that friend.
But I think, again, we were discussing how essentially when you're feeling insecure in a friendship, and I think the reality is that if you feel like you're having to compete for a friend or in a friendship, there is going to be an element of insecurity there that's driving that. And when you're living in that place of insecurity, everything becomes about you, rather than thinking, oh, amazing, my friend has such good friends in her life, and people that want to celebrate her and do nice things for her. Every situation just gets flipped back onto you of, oh, I need to do something better. Oh, like, why wasn't it me that was able to do that? Or why wasn't it me in that situation helping her out or saying the nice speech or whatever it is? I think the insecurity can just make you quite introspective and just focusing in on yourself rather than looking out at, oh gosh, yeah, it's so nice that my friend has other friends that love her.
Yeah, and I think if you are there and you're thinking, oh, yeah, that is me, like I just feel really insecure, I don't know, how to kind of get over that. Like I try and want to be happy that my friends have other friends, but I can't be. Just quickly, I guess, I think one thing we've touched on before, but has really helped me, is trying to remember that you can only bring who you are to your friendship. So where the temptation sometimes is to compete and think, okay, they've said that, so I'm going to try and top it and say this. You can almost try and flip the way that you're looking at it and instead be like, okay, that's really lovely that friend has done that specific thing or said that specific thing for my friend. I'm not going to try and replicate that because, that's not necessarily me. Like I didn't do that thing. I didn't say that thing. Instead, I'm just going to try and be who I am and bring who I am to this friendship, because ultimately it's really nice for your friends to have a whole variety of friends and different ways that each of their friends show them love. So like there's almost no point even trying to like replicate or bring the same thing that someone else is bringing to their life, because it's in some ways better for them to have like that variety, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and to add to that, something that's really helped me when I've maybe struggled with this topic is even just the simple fact that I can't be everywhere at once.
Yeah.
So if I have a friend who, I don't know, we don't work together, well then obviously I'd want them to have friends at work. If I break it down, do I want them to be sat on their own at work, having lunch on their own, not talking to anyone, just so I know that I am the best friend to them? It's like, no, I'd obviously want them to enjoy their work and have friendships there. Or, if you don't live together, well, yeah, I'd obviously want them to get on with their housemates and enjoy the people that they live with. And just that thing of, you can't be in every space all the time. You can't be every type of friend to that person in every place that they go every day. So
Exactly.
you obviously, I think that's what you have to break it down to. It's like, beneath all those feelings of maybe jealousy or insecurity, I'm sure the bottom line is, if you really care about your friend, you want them to be happy and have friendships wherever they go.
Yeah. And also I think as well as like you can't be in one place at one time, we also all have different ways of showing love. So even like Soph and I were talking earlier about the example of like, let's say one of your friends is having a rough time and then one of their other friends comes in and buys them, you know, this weekend away that makes them feel, you know, much better, or does this big kind of gesture, or maybe goes and gets them a gift. Obviously in that moment, the immediate reaction that can kind of cause in you is like, oh my goodness, like as if they've just gone and bought them this weekend. Like, right, what am I going to do? I'm going to fly them here. Like,
how am I going to top it?
Yeah, like how am I going to top it? How am I going to prove that I also am a great friend? And again, in that moment, you've just kind of got to be like, okay, that's lovely that my friend has a friend who would want to buy them that or do that kind of elaborate gesture. That doesn't mean that that's me. And it doesn't mean that my friend's immediately going to think, well, why hasn't Rach done that for me?
Yeah.
Like, there's not that expectation. And also, like, one way of showing love isn't better than another. So I might be more of like a, I don't know, words kind of person, and or like you can demonstrate your love in other ways. And I think it's actually really nice, again, to have that variety for your friend of like, you know, why would they just want friends that are just mirroring the same thing in every way? That's never going to happen anyway. So it's just about trying to bring who you are and be secure in that, and know like where you stand in your friendship, and actually that like your friend's not looking for you to try and prove yourself. They like you for who they are, for who you are.
And I think comparison can be a big thing that comes into it, even when going back to the bridesmaids example and these two competing friends, one of them, like I was saying, is quite wealthy and well-to-do and has all this money that they can throw at this wedding for their friend, and the other one just isn't in that situation. And actually where you can start comparing yourself to the other friend that you've, as in not the friend that you're friends with, but the one that you feel like you're competing with, and start comparing, oh yeah, I don't have enough money to take them away on this trip, or
Yeah, like I'm a bad friend.
throw this big party for them, or whatever it is. And not always just money, but I don't know, you might think, oh, they've got this skill. I can't offer that skill to my friend and help them in that way that friend's helping, or whatever it looks like. I think comparison can so easily creep in as well, where you basically can just become really, just negative about yourself and what you bring, and feeling like you're not enough, and like comparing yourself to that friend. And I think that's just horrible. Again, you just have to trust and be confident that your friend likes you for who you are, and you bring what you bring, and that's enough. They're not looking for you to be that other friend.
Yeah, 100%.
That's not why they became friends with you.
And I think the reality is beneath it all is probably just the fear that they're gonna like leave you or become better friends with someone else. And like that is a valid kind of fear to have. But I think, again, you've just got to come back to like, okay, so let's say that happens. Do I kind of want that friendship then anyway? If a friend legit was going to go, oh, you know, I've just noticed that like Soph never took me on like a spa weekend, or never took me like away, like on holiday or whatever it is. Therefore, like, I'm just not like particular, like I'm going to be closer with other people. I'll kind of be like, okay, cool. Like,
yeah.
Obviously it would be like sad and hard, but actually that's not really the kind of friendship maybe that's like super healthy, or like, do you know what I mean? So then it's kind of like, I guess I'm just saying that to try and help rationalize your thinking of like, oh no, do you know what? They do like me for who I am, and I can be confident in that. And if they don't, then I don't really want friends like that anyway.
You can only be the best friend that you can be.
So true, man. So true.
And in saying that, essentially I'm trying to say all you can focus on is, I love this person and I'll be the best friend I can be. Like, I want to serve them and love them as best as I can. And that is all I can do.
Yeah.
Can't change who I am.
Yeah, exactly.
So you just got to focus in on that, guys.
Do you feel like you've had scenarios like this where you've felt like you're competing?
Yeah, definitely. I think I can remember one particular one when I was growing up, where I had a friend, and a friend from school, and she had essentially just become friends with another girl that didn't go to my school. And I just felt so, threatened and so insecure in the friendship in that, and those feelings of worry, like this other girl's going to become her best friend and I'm going to be cast aside. And, you'd see, and I didn't know this girl, so all I'd ever see was Instagram posts, Snapchat, social media, essentially just feeding that insecurity. And again, everything's amazing on social media, isn't it? Like,
just had the best day of our lives.
Yeah. And I'm like,
out shopping.
Yeah, like it's so rough. I think, especially at that time, I don't know. I feel like my friends now wouldn't really post in that similar way on social media, maybe. I mean, you still see stuff which is like triggering, but I feel like back in the day it was quite...
Gosh, it was just...
extravagant. Or
it was.
Just quite elaborate in what was posted, especially Snapchat. I think Snapchat was probably worse.
At that age where you've not really known yet how to deal maturely with like insecurity or your emotions, it just massively outplayed on things like social media.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
because now I think I would probably take the approach of, just delete it. Like, as in, I'd just delete Instagram because I don't need to know what they're doing. I don't need to, and if it's going to make me feel rubbish and really sad, then why am I obsessively refreshing my Snapchat to see if they've posted another story of what they're doing?
That's it as well. It's like self-inflicting. Like,
another one. No. 100 seconds on the story now of content. Do you remember that on Snapchat where it was like how many seconds were on the story?
Gosh.
And
so
I hated it. I literally, and I hated the emotions that it brought up in me, because deep down, like I was saying earlier,
snarling at home.
Yeah, but like deep down, like I was saying, oh yeah, it's nice that my friend has another good friend, but on the surface, it's just, why is that not me? Why have you not invited me around for a sleepover or to go shopping or whatever it is? And I just, I hadn't learned how to process those emotions either, or how to rationalize them.
What did you do then?
I don't know, just
got
really moody about it.
Yeah.
Literally
it's just so real.
I think, to be fair, growing up, I was always quite honest, but I think probably too honest sometimes.
Yeah.
In terms of having those conversations where you're relaying how a situation makes you feel, which I'm all for, but I think there's also a level of, I can't put this all on you.
Yeah.
This is my thing that I need to deal with. Rather than going,
like, it is okay.
It makes me really sad when you hang out with so and so, and I just hate seeing it. And
get the journals out.
At the end of the day, I guess it's good to have conversations like that where it's just being real. Like, not gonna lie, I find that quite hard. But then when you're just going over it every 2 weeks or however long, it's like, okay, cool. Well, you're not gonna stop being friends with this person, so it's like, I just need to get over it, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true.
What about you?
Yeah, I think the same. I do just think social media was like a huge part in it all as well. I think it was just such an easy way to compare.
Especially just the language. I would literally look and be like, she's called her best friend.
Yeah.
Flip. No.
But also it kind of feels intentional in some ways. I don't know, when people are posting stuff like that, even out of their own place of like trying to assert that someone's like, I don't know, it feels all just really weird. But I think like
quite loaded.
I relate, like there's a TikTok sound that like me and So found that is basically, was going around in terms of saying like, essentially this concept of like when someone else calls your best friend their best friend.
Yeah.
And I think that there was so much territory marking at school, and like kind of like, they are my best friend. And like it would be like just out of question for someone to call your best friend their best friend. But if they did, it was literally like a dagger to the heart.
Yeah. But even stuff like BBM and like, I remember it'd be like, you'd have your name and then their name and your thing. And
and I'm sure now for people in school, like there's just other ways that all outplays.
Yeah.
But I think also, I guess almost like we were saying at the start of this podcast, it's not just the like, asserting this is my best friend. I think for me, even probably now, it probably outplays more subtly in a way of like, not necessarily asserting like, this is my best friend. Like I think I'm kind of comfortable with who my close friends are. But I think where you just find yourself in that mindset of suddenly realizing, oh, I might be doing this or saying that to try and prove myself as a friend.
Yeah.
And almost just having to check myself and be like, I don't need to prove myself as a friend.
Yeah.
Like, I either do this thing because I really want to do it for my friend and that's how I feel and that's what I want to do. But I don't want to be doing it out of a place of like, well, that person's done this and that person's done that, so I need to do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and I think that's probably more today how it would play out.
Yeah.
And I think you've just got to be self-aware in it, really.
I think that's a massive thing, isn't it? It's actually taking yourself or giving yourself a moment to reflect and think, what is my motive behind doing this? And in this friendship or all my friendships, how do I feel? Do I feel like I'm having to constantly prove myself or putting myself in a position where I feel like I have to do X, Y, and Z to secure the friendship and know that, you know, they're not going to leave me? Or I don't know. But I think it can be so subtle and so subconscious that we do these things that I definitely think it's worth taking a moment and reflecting, how do I actually feel in my friendships? And if there's any friendships that you feel really secure in, maybe asking yourself, oh, why do I feel secure in that friendship? But then in this friendship, I feel like I'm having to really strive and work hard to maintain it, or I keep making myself feel like I have to do all these things to win this person over, or whatever it is. I think if you can find a friendship where you feel secure in and compare it to one that you don't, I think that will tell you a lot, really.
Yeah.
And it actually might be sometimes how that other person makes you feel and treats you. Because I do think sometimes I've had friends where I'm like, you're actually feeding into making me feel insecure.
And like you kind of know
putting
that
me on
that's
edge.
going to do that. Yeah. Which is just not very nice.
It's not.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's real.
Couple of thoughts there, guys. Competition, again, hopefully it's not just stats, but you know, also fine if it is.
Let us know. Yeah, just want to say it's not just you.
Yeah, it's not just you. Feels like you have to compete, but we don't need to compete.
You are enough.
So simple, guys.
I watched Barbie on Saturday for the first time and I've realised I am enough.
That's so good, Soph. I don't know what that means, but I'm glad you feel like you're enough.
It's when Ken realises that he's enough as just Ken.
Oh,
he doesn't have to prove himself.
You are enough.
Yeah, soft enough. You are rich enough.
Okay, great. All right, guys. We will see you in our next episode.
We will.
Ta-da!
Goodbye.